beyond individual control. The timing, content, and scenarios of dreams are beyond one's influence. Who can say, "Tonight I must have a beautiful dream," and ensure its occurrence? The gender and number of one's children. Some people dream of having a son, while others long for a daughter. Some pray for many children and grandchildren, but these hopes and dreams cannot be self-determined. Whether one has a son, a daughter, or how many, is predestined. Some may say that having a boy or a girl is a matter of chance, but then I ask you, why do some couples have 6 sons and no daughters, while others have 6 daughters and no sons? Why do some have no children at all? The factors involved in having a boy or a girl are numerous, and this is a subject beyond science and beyond the scope of this discussion. All I want you to know is that there is a great deal of knowledge involved here, and without reaching a certain level of spiritual cultivation, one can never gain control over it. Occupation. Human society is like a flowing river, and each person is a droplet in that river. Whether the droplet flows in the middle or along the edge of the river is not up to it. Similarly, a raindrop falling from the sky has no control over whether it will land on grass, a rooftop, sand, or a mountain. So, does everyone choose their own occupation? How many people can freely choose their profession? Is your current job something you chose, or were you forced into it by the waves of life? The occupation each person currently engages in is the result of many factors: your temperament, knowledge, upbringing, appearance, speech, experiences, family background, lifestyle habits, and even the length of your legs and the size of your eyes, etc. Even if you have a choice, the range is pitifully small. It's not just that a farmer can't become a governor, a worker can't engage in scientific work, a prime minister can't become a musician, but even a farmer can't become a herdsman, a mechanic can't become an electrician, a real estate businessman can't run a supermarket, and a sports worker can't perform acrobatics. A peach will always be a peach. A sour plum will always be a sour plum. A cherry can't become a watermelon, and a blade of grass can't become a towering tree. If you don't have a good voice, don't expect to become a singer. If you lack musical talent, don't bother with the piano. Those who rob houses are certainly not kind-hearted, and a great monk must be free of desires. The conclusion is, your current occupation is what you are destined to engage in, and whether you can change it does not entirely depend on your own will. Murder and imprisonment. No one can guarantee that they will not kill or be imprisoned. When war breaks out and bullets have fallen in your yard, not only soldiers will charge into battle, but ordinary people will also rise in self-defense. When you know someone wants to kill you, you have no choice but to resist instinctively. An honest and kind-hearted person who has worked hard to earn a little money for survival, if robbed, deceived, or extorted, will certainly seek revenge when the opportunity arises. Except for a few who are naturally inclined to kill, no one likes to kill. But if forced into a corner, one will certainly kill. No one likes to be imprisoned, but prisons are often filled with people. It's not a matter of willingness, but of inevitability. Wealth, fame, and status. There's nobody in the world who doesn't like wealth, except for fools and immortals, and religious leaders are no exception. Even those who often preach that wealth is an external possession, which we cannot bring with us at birth or take away at death, secretly desire more wealth. The question is, while you may like wealth, does wealth like you? Many people rack their brains, strategize tirelessly, even take risks, and travel far and wide, only to end up penniless. Conversely, how many others go about life leisurely, without much effort, yet wealth seems to flow effortlessly towards them. Some people toil their entire lives but can't even earn $10,000, while others, with a mere word, earn tens of thousands of dollars. Some may receive just 2 eggs on their birthday, while others might be gifted a luxury car or a lavish villa. Watching others making money hand over fist, all you can do is stare. Wealth is everywhere, but you just can't pick it up. It's not about lacking intelligence, education, or physical strength. It's about having a weak wealth destiny. Having a weak wealth destiny or poor financial luck isn't necessarily a bad thing. Jesus once said, "It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to enter the kingdom of God." If it's meant for you, there's a reason for it. Don't blame yourself. The same principles apply to fame and status. Turning points and encounters in life. People who have played mahjong know that what hand you will have is completely out of your control. The cards that should come will come, and the cards that shouldn't come absolutely won't. The cards you reveal are the turning points and encounters that constitute your wins and losses. Some people may say that winning or losing is a matter of probability or technique. Saying this proves that you haven't played seriously. If you were to stake your entire fortune on the game, you would find that the role of probability theory and technique is minimal. Sometimes you win continuously, and sometimes you can't win a few hands all night. In fact, your wins and losses are already determined by the field, position, time, and your own mental, physical, and psychological state at the time you play with others. You just don't know it. Everyone has a few turning points in their life, such as going to school, starting work, getting married, being transferred, moving, being promoted, becoming unemployed, being laid off, going abroad, changing careers, etc. There are also some special turning points, such as when war suddenly breaks out, the life of a person with military talent takes a turn. Someone with a natural singing voice is discovered by a talent scout and embarks on a singing career. Their life takes a turn. An ambitious, energetic person encounters a car accident or a disease. Their life path also takes a turn. Those with ambitions for officialdom understand that every new sovereign brings his own courtiers. The joys and sorrows, ups and downs of superiors can cause a turning point in their lives. China's Cultural Revolution caused a turning point in many people's lives, and the reform and opening up, revitalizing the economy, also caused a turning point in many people's life paths. Turning points are inevitable and occur regardless of any individual's will and cannot be controlled by oneself. Next, let's look at encounters. Transcription. In March 1978, a 37-year-old female crane operator at a mine near Donetsk, Ukraine, unfortunately came into contact with 380 volts of high voltage and died. After being kept in the morgue for 2 days, she miraculously regained consciousness. After 6 months of convalescence, one day she walked to the bus station and suddenly found that she could see inside a woman's body, just like an image on a TV screen. She could see the ultraviolet light coming from the sun and the holes under the asphalt road. Doctors admit that she is an unparalleled diagnostic expert, able to diagnose diseases that people easily overlook, and has never misdiagnosed. Li Tsuentian, a boy from Li Bing's family in Taiping Village, Taipingjiu Township, Chang'an County, Shaanxi Province, couldn't speak since he was a child. Despite seeking medical treatment everywhere, he still didn't see any improvement. In 1986, when he was 15 years old, the mute boy went to his uncle's house with his mother. While playing by the well, he accidentally fell into the well. The child suddenly cried out for his parents and shouted for help. After people rescued him, he started to speak. Charlie Philibus, a billionaire from the UK, was born on March 1, 1917, in a farmer's family in St. Lia Castle, UK. Due to financial difficulties and other reasons, he was abandoned by his parents on the side of a big road near a farm a few days after he was born. Just when he was dying, a group of white pigeons led by 2 green pigeons descended from the sky and circled around him, cooing non-stop. Then, the owner of the green pigeons, a farmer named Franz Joseph, came to the sound and took him in. Later, when his business encountered difficulties, it was the pigeons that helped him a lot. To repay the pigeons for their gratitude, he not only established a pigeon association, used the green pigeon as the logo of his company, but also suggested that the United Nations use the pigeon as a symbol of happiness and peace for all mankind. He himself was known as the father of world pigeons. Romulus, who founded the city of Rome, was persecuted by his usurping great-uncle from the moment he was born and was thrown into the Tiber River. But he survived against all odds, was washed ashore by the water, and a she-wolf heard the child's cry and came to the river, feeding him with wolf milk. Later, a shepherd found him and took him home to raise him. On the morning of February 1971, Eddie Robinson, who was 53 years old at the time, had a car accident while driving across a bridge. His head was injured, and subsequently, he gradually lost his vision and hearing, living in a world of darkness and silence. However, on the afternoon of June 4, 1980, a poplar tree in his backyard was struck by lightning. The electricity dispersed to him as he was searching for chickens near the tree, knocking him to the ground. 20 minutes after regaining consciousness, his vision and hearing miraculously returned. It was as if a bolt from the blue had restored him to his original state. Turning points and extraordinary encounters may seem purely coincidental on the surface, but they often have underlying signs. Those proficient in the art of physiognomy know that a person's fortune, nobility, longevity, and even the likelihood of premature death can all be discerned from their facial features. Teachers who have served as class advisors for more than 2 years can often predict among their 40 or so students who will be able to attend university in the future, who will go to vocational school, who will end up unemployed, and who will experience a life full of twists and turns. They can generally draw such conclusions. As the saying goes, one's destiny can be foreseen at the age of 3. This means that turning points and extraordinary encounters can only happen to those who are destined for them. A person without a good voice will never have the turning point of becoming a singer. No matter how much power and control presidents have, they will not have the turning point of becoming a great scientist. A 50-year-old shepherd will never have the turning point of becoming an astronaut. Peach blossom luck. This refers to a pure love affair outside of marriage that leaves both parties longing for each other for a lifetime. Everyone is a unique lock and at the same time, a unique key. Each person's world of love is a locked treasure chest that can only be opened by a matching key. Peach blossom luck occurs when this special key and lock meet, unlocking the frozen world of love between two people. Peach blossom luck arrives unexpectedly, and hope and pursuit are futile. When it arrives, emotions are hard to suppress. The heart beats faster, and one is involuntarily drawn in. The whole world and life suddenly become extraordinarily beautiful. Without knowing the other person's history, character, marital status, social status, or economic condition, you are willing to depend on each other for life, to become one. Marital affection, unrequited love, visiting brothels, etc. are not peach blossom luck. Peach blossom luck is like the thunder and lightning produced by the collision of two clouds, a thunderbolt. It's not 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, but 1 plus 1 is equal to 1, like a volcanic eruption, a nuclear fission. This upheaval in the world of love is beyond one's control. It's not a chance encounter, but a necessity that comes after reaching a certain age and experience, attracted by a wave of information emitted by the physiological field that one cannot feel oneself. Eating, drinking, excreting, sleeping. When you're hungry, you must eat. After eating, you must defecate. When you're thirsty, you must drink. After drinking, you must urinate. When you're tired, you must sleep. This is the inevitable law of physiology. If you violate this inevitable law, the result is certain death. In the face of this law, people are powerless and can only go with the flow, following the inevitable. Enjoying blessings, suffering hardships, enduring suffering. What kind of blessings you enjoy, what kind of hardships you suffer, what kind of suffering you endure, are predestined, are inevitable. To explain this issue thoroughly requires a lot of space. I only provide the following information. Please think, comprehend, analyze. Having the same parents, growing up in the same family, living in the same social environment, decades later, the life paths of brothers and sisters vary greatly. Some have a lifetime of happy families, economic prosperity, and a happy and satisfying life, while others have a bumpy and unsuccessful life, unhappy families, and numerous difficulties. What causes this? Why? Where is the root? Some people are born in poverty, born in remote mountainous areas, can't even wear a decent piece of clothing, can't afford to go to school. While some people are born in abundance, carefully cared for by servants, attending aristocratic schools. Why? Where is the root? People who have read the novel Water Margin, think about it. Why did Gao Qiu make a fortune? Why did Lin Chong go to Liangshan? Where is the root? Some people, a day's income can exceed the total of dozens of farmers' hard work for 365 days. Some people at a young age are working in the key departments of the country. Some people struggle for a lifetime and can't even become a section chief. Why? Where is the root? Visit a few prisoners in prison. Ask them why they committed crimes, why they went to jail, and then summarize, see where the reason is. If you are a boss, ask your employees, my daily income is dozens of times yours. Why don't you learn from me and still work for me stupidly? If you are a worker, ask your boss, I sweat blood all day, but you come and go in high-end hotels. Why can't we change our identities? Ask yourself again, why am I like this? Why is he like that? I graduated from university, and my wife is still dissatisfied with me. He is just an ordinary person who graduated from elementary school, but his wife is obedient to him. My cultural level is the same as his. The starting point is the same, and I have been working in the same unit for many years. Why can his children go to famous universities abroad, but my children can't? There are thousands of such questions. As long as you can explain the above 7, you will know that the blessings, hardships, and sufferings in a person's life are beyond human power and are inevitable. 16. What path to take? What kind of person to become? I remember in 1972 when I was in junior high school, our Chinese teacher gave us a composition topic. My ideal? The ideals of our 48 classmates were varied, mainly including the following. I want to firmly grasp a steel gun and guard the frontier of the motherland. I want to be a sailor, steering a warship, defending the maritime defense of the motherland. I want to be a pilot, flying an eagle in the vast blue sky of the motherland. I want to be a driver, driving a truck, running on the socialist avenue. I want to be an angel in white, warming the hearts of patients. I want to be a teacher, using my hard sweat to irrigate the flowers of the socialist motherland. I want to be a coal miner, digging out more and better coal, so that the socialist blast furnace can operate 24 hours a day. I want to be a construction worker, building more high-rise buildings for the socialist motherland. I want to be a doctor, using my medical skills to relieve the suffering of the poor peasants. I want to be a new type of farmer, driving an iron bull, galloping in the fields of the motherland. 30 years later, except for one who realized his dream and became a teacher, the ideals of the other classmates were not realized. This fact shows that what kind of path a person takes and what kind of person they become is not up to them. Everyone is like a piece of iron. What kind of utensil it will become is not up to the iron itself, but is forged into shape according to the needs of the blacksmith. Perhaps some people will object. Junior high school students do not understand society, do not understand the trend of social development. Their ideals are too simple and cannot be used to prove that what kind of road to take, what kind of person to become is not up to oneself. Well, then you choose 50 people of different age stages and different cultural levels. Let them talk about what kind of path they will take in the next 10 years, what kind of person they will become, and verify it again in 10 years, see what the result is. Prosperity and adversity. Few people wish for a life full of hardships, obstacles, debts, and turmoil. Everyone strives for peace, smooth sailing, success, and turning misfortune into fortune. Yet, why do tragedies like emperors committing suicide, presidents going to jail, wealthy people committing suicide, and scholars begging happen? In Chinese history, there were cases where one person's crime led to the punishment of 9 generations and the extermination of an entire family. During World War II, millions of Jews were displaced and faced sudden calamities. How were these adversities created? Reflecting on the situations of our parents, peers, friends, and colleagues, some are in prosperity while others face adversity. What causes some to prosper while others suffer? Is it appearance, age, knowledge, beliefs, gender, race, family environment, social environment, intelligence, foolishness or evilness, lack of effort, or some other reason? My answer is, it's inevitable and beyond individual control. Prosperity and adversity are like the changing seasons, fluctuating with the changes in time and space, beyond human control, unless one has grasped the mysteries, like migratory birds changing their activity spaces with the seasons, or like Buddhist monks and Taoist masters who have transcended worldly desires and physiological urges, able to control a part of it. 18. Destination after death. First, let's excerpt a passage from the 1990 issue of Reader magazine, page 42, titled New Discussion on the Mystery of Death. A multinational company in Japan wanted to confirm whether brain waves still exist after death. Scientists implanted electrodes into the skulls of subjects, connected to a computer that could receive brain waves within an 80-kilometer range. Among the 10 deceased subjects, they found brain waves in 2. One named Freddie. 3 days after death, the computer screen displayed, "I am Freddie. I am happy. There is no pain." The phrase, "there is no pain," appeared over 20 times before the brain waves disappeared. Another leukemia patient, on the third day after death, the computer screen displayed, "This is a beautiful place. I am happy to be here. I feel joy." This experiment illustrates that brain waves exist after death. Whether this report is true, everyone should verify for themselves. I'm just telling you, there is life after death. Many people don't believe in an afterlife. They are deceived by the surface phenomena of the material world, bound by their conventional thinking, limited by their eyes, ears, and bodies, and restricted by limited scientific knowledge. They dismiss everything they cannot understand as superstition, witchcraft, and deny the negative universe, the 36-dimensional spaces, regarding everything unseen, unheard, unfelt, scientifically unproven, and unacknowledged by experts as illusory and non-existent. This can't be blamed on them. It's normal because until now, amidst the vast ocean of human wisdom, no book, philosophy, or ideology has fully elucidated the mysteries of the universe. Although the classics of major religions mention the afterlife, they fail to convince, leaving one only half believing, while modern science and technology have not fully confirmed life after death. Some people with extraordinary abilities, although capable of supernatural powers, either do not understand the mysteries or lack the ability to describe them, giving a sense of ambiguity and difficulty in distinguishing truth from falsehood. So, can life genuine explain clearly and convincingly? It's also very difficult, not because it can't be explained clearly, but because of our level of cultivation. For example, when I say sunlight is colorful, with various colors depending on what's in nature, you may find it unbelievable. When we talk about complex planes and imaginary functions, it's hard for elementary and middle school students to understand because they cannot be explained with examples from daily life. You can easily understand that 1 apple plus 1 apple equals 2 apples, but if I tell you 1 plus minus 1 equals the universe, it becomes inexplicable and incomprehensible. All middle school students know the periodic table of chemical elements, but when Mendeleev first arranged the elements, not even chemists believed it because many elements had not been discovered or confirmed. How did Mendeleev know about their existence? How do you know there are only these elements on Earth? Is it because humanity hasn't discovered them yet that you think Mendeleev is just fantasizing and piecing things together randomly? No, regardless of whether you believe it or not, the periodic table of chemical elements is an order, a necessity, just like every cell in a person has 23 pairs of chromosomes. If there are more or less, it's no longer a human. Everything in the universe follows a fixed procedure and order. So why was it Mendeleev who arranged the periodic table of chemical elements and not someone else? Buddhism teaches that humans have human eyes, deva eyes, wisdom eyes, dharma eyes, and Buddha eyes. Human eyes are understandable because we all have them. So, what are wisdom eyes? We can understand that too. For example, Bull identifies horses. Bull had wisdom in recognizing horses. He knew what kind of horse a fast horse was, what kind was a medium horse, and what kind was a poor horse. Some political leaders have the wisdom to recognize talents, like Li Shimin recognizing Wei Zhang. What about Deva eyes? We can also understand that, for example, the Hubble Space Telescope, electron microscopes, laser mirrors, etc., are heavenly eyes that can see distant worlds and the microscopic world invisible to the naked eye, see beyond walls and skin. Such eyes are Deva eyes. What about the Dharma eye? It's relatively difficult to understand because only those who know the order of the universe, the structure of matter, and the past and future of any object or person possess the Dharma eye. As we mentioned above, Mendeleev, in the field of chemical elements, already possessed the Dharma eye. Newton had a certain Dharma eye in the field of mechanics. Sakyamuni had the Dharma eye in the field of material structure. Thousands of years ago, in the Avatamsaka Sutra, it was said, "In each speck of dust, there are boundless worlds. In these worlds, there are again specks of dust. Within these specks of dust, there are again worlds, such as the endless cycle, which cannot be exhausted." For example, the Earth universe is a speck of dust in the macrocosm, the Milky Way is a speck of dust in the spiral galaxy, the solar system is a speck of dust in the Milky Way, the Earth is a speck of dust in the solar system. Any single object is a speck of dust on Earth. A molecule is a speck of dust in an object. An atom is a speck of dust in a molecule. An electron is a speck of dust that constitutes an atom, and so on to protons, neutrons, photons, mesons, hyperons, variants, antiparticles, etc. Such is the endless cycle, which cannot be exhausted. How could Sakyamuni see so finely thousands of years ago? Because he had the Dharma eye. What about the Buddha eye? This is the most difficult level to understand, as it involves non-material, negative universe, 36-dimensional spaces, space-time view, existence and non-existence view, reality and illusion view, etc. Einstein once said, "For us believing physicists, the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion." This shows that Einstein has bypassed the boundary of the Buddha eye. The reason why Einstein is great lies here. For those who have the Buddha eye, time does not exist. The so-called seeing through the world is only for those who have the Buddha eye. Ordinary people can't see through it, and they have no way to see through it. Sakyamuni suddenly enlightened under the Bodhi tree and became a Buddha. So what is sudden enlightenment? And what is a Buddha? The Southern Buddhism in China talks about sudden enlightenment, which is actually a misunderstanding of sudden enlightenment, leading people astray. The real sudden enlightenment refers to the critical transformation point where a qualitative change suddenly occurs when the quantitative change reaches the limit. For example, a pot of cold water, heated on the fire, gradually changes from cold to warm. When its temperature reaches 100 degrees, we ignore the altitude for now, it becomes boiling water. Without the previous heating process, cold water can never suddenly enlighten into boiling water. Anyone who does not practice cultivation, don't dream of sudden enlightenment to become a Buddha. The natural law will not shift with human will. Sakyamuni suddenly enlightened to become a Buddha because he had been practicing cultivation for a long time, and the quantitative change had reached the extreme, and he was bound to become a Buddha. There is a joke about a person who only feels full after eating 9 buns. When he feels full after eating the 9th bun, he regrets it. If I had known that this 9th bun could fill me up, I wouldn't have eaten the previous 8 buns. Wasting 8 buns, I'm really stupid. Stupid? Indeed stupid, not just ordinary stupid. It's the square of stupid. What is a Buddha? Simply put, it is a person who already has the Buddha eye, a person who is in tune with the thinking of the universe, a person who is one with the Tao, a person who understands the intention of the ancestor of Buddha, the greatest creator, a person who has transcended time and space, embraced eternity. I've said a lot above, and the purpose is only one. That is to tell everyone that people have past lives and future lives, and life is constantly evolving and transforming. For example, the so-called death in people only refers to the death of the body. This ends the mission of carrying the spiritual body of life, returning to dust. The spiritual body of life will then go to another space. This is just like people taking a boat from this shore to the other shore. After reaching the other shore, they abandon the boat and go ashore, thus completing the mission of the boat. In this analogy, the body is the boat that carries the spiritual body of life from one shore to the other shore. Back to the main point, the destination after death is unknown to everyone. It's inevitable. So where exactly do people go after death? Based on the quality of each person's spiritual body, after death, they will go to one of the following 10 worlds. The 1,000-year world, described in the Bible as the resurrected world and the heaven hoped for by Islam. The 10,000-year world, the Elysium world, the anode black hole body, the womb of the mother body that nurtures animals and plants, serving as a means for them to return to the human world. The animal world, livestock world, animal world, plant world, nether world, frozen layer and inflamed layer. There are no other destinations. The ancestor of Buddha's revelation. Xiefeng, supreme ancestor of Buddha. I have been self-improving and self-refining for more than 20 years, but I have not obtained anything. Where is the fairness of Tao? How do you self-refine and how do you self-improve? My self-refinement is mainly to enlighten my mind and transform my consciousness, to calm my mind, stop my desire, manage my mind, have a mind of integrity, keep an open mind, have a sedated mind, maintain a pure mind, and to do what I want to do to have a peaceful mind. At the same time, I apply unconventional thinking, gradually separate from the consciousness of animals and humans, and establish the consciousness of a celestial being and Buddha. My self-improvement is mainly selfless dedication and unconditional giving. Meanwhile, I try my best to pay off my debts and finish all my secular ties. What do you want? Why are you questioning the justice of Tao? As a person, I need a gracious life. As an enlightened one, I need to have supernatural powers. However, after improving myself for more than 20 years, I have lost my house, car, money, and haven't got any power, status, fame, or fortune, and I have no magic power at all. People around me live better than me. They're all laughing at me. So, I am more and more confused. If the result of selfless dedication and unconditional giving is that I do not live as well as others, ancestor of Buddha, could you tell me if I have taken the wrong path? You didn't go wrong on the path of self-improvement and self-refinement, but there is something wrong with the direction and goal of your enlightenment, and your understanding is not thorough. Ancestor of Buddha, please give me some guidance. For more than 20 years, you have been almost free from illness and have not encountered any disasters. Do you know how many people have been struggling with illness and have died in disasters in the past 20 years? About 800 million people are suffering from illness, and about 600 million people die abnormally. Don't you think that your safety for more than 20 years is the result of self-improvement and self-refinement? For more than 20 years, you have hardly suffered from insomnia, and you have slept soundly. There are not many annoying things that disturb your mind, and you are not worried about thieves and robbers stealing from you and robbing you. What a blessing! Don't you think it is the result of self-improvement and self-refinement? For more than 20 years, you have known and made many pure confidants. Not only do they cause no troubles and pains to you, but happily accompany you on your life journey. You realize that they will provide you with useful help unconditionally whenever you need them. Isn't this the result of your self-improvement and self-refinement? For more than 20 years, through continuous selfless dedication, you have gradually repaid the debts you owed for many generations. You have gradually finished your secular ties and have been close to heaven. Your future is becoming gradually clear and bright, away from hell, and you are gradually getting rid of the program of reincarnation. Isn't this the fruitful result of your persistent self-improvement and self-refinement? What you get is not only the above, but there are also many more things that I do not need to describe in detail here. When you open your Buddha's eye, you will know everything. You must know that avoiding illness and disaster is equal to gaining. Achieving a balanced life and happiness is equal to gaining. Paying off your debts and ending secular ties is even more gaining. And being close to heaven is a blessing over a blessing. Do you still doubt the justice of Tao? Are you still confused? I am grateful for your teaching, but I still feel that the result of more than 20 years of self-improvement and self-refinement is emptiness. Compared with the wealthy people around me, I still feel that I have made no practical achievements and I am not confident enough to continue on this road in the future. I understand your feelings. There are countless temptations in life in this world, and you have not yet stepped out of the temptation maze. Go and learn from nature. I hide all secrets and mysteries in the principles and laws of all things and phenomena. If you observe and think carefully, it is not difficult to gain true knowledge. For example, observing a fruit tree, from the spring budding and growth to the flowering and fruiting to the final maturity, it needs a process. The time for real maturity is very short, and the time for gestation is very long. Your 2 decades of self-improvement and self-refinement belongs to the gestation period. Do you understand? Observe how the ewe gives birth to a lamb. The lamb stays in the womb of the ewe before it is born, growing and developing. As long as it has not yet been born, it will always be in the same environment, without seeing the future, without seeing the world outside the womb. Once it is born, it is equivalent to being reborn and fulfilled. The period of fulfillment is very short, but the gestation period is very long. Your 20 years of self-improvement and self-refinement is equivalent to the developing and growing of a lamb in the womb of the ewe. As long as you do not get out of the womb, it is natural and understandable to be confused, but irritability is not necessary. You must be convinced that one day you will get out of the womb and enter the world of nature, and you must believe in the power and rules of these procedures. I am grateful for your teaching and guidance. I understand and my heart is bright now. I will continue to develop and grow in this big womb of the world and strive to be born in the heavenly world one day. The 18 inevitable factors. Xiefeng. Alright, we already know that there are 18 inevitable aspects of life that are beyond our control. So, what are these 18 inevitabilities composed of? They are karmic debts from past lives, ancestral inheritance, genetic factors, cosmic forces, feng shui, parental behavior, family environment, social environment, spouse, children, diet, dietary and living habits, mutations, beliefs, 7 emotions and 6 desires, appearances of the material world, personality, demonic pranks, celestial changes. The above 18 factors are the mainstream, each with about 10 subsidiary streams on average, thus constituting 180 factors. These 180 factors interact and intersect with each other to form nearly 1,015 factors. This vast number of factors all affect human beings and have an impact. This is the root cause of humanity's perennial inability to fathom the mysteries of the universe and life, and it also accounts for the deep-seated reasons for the differences in individual lives and the inevitable factors of people's inability to effectively manage themselves. These factors, not to mention analyzing them one by one, even if a person counts them every day from the age of 3 for 24 hours a day, they wouldn't finish counting in 100 years. Going back 5,000 years and then forward another 5,000 years, in the river of human history, you won't find 2 people exactly the same in all aspects. Each person has their own life path, which is inevitable. Knowing this inevitability, accepting it, and living according to it makes you a human celestial being. Let's set aside the subsidiary streams and analyze the mainstream factors that constitute inevitability. Karmic debts from past lives. Water has a source, trees have roots, water circulates, roots grow and multiply. Everything in the universe has a source and cannot appear out of thin air. The total energy of the universe is constant. It neither increases nor decreases, but only transforms from one form to another. The so-called something from nothing does not mean appearing out of thin air. For example, a television set didn't exist before, but now it's manufactured. This is something from nothing. But without the designer's mind and the raw materials to manufacture the television set, it wouldn't appear out of thin air. It is often said that life is given by our parents, but this is a misunderstanding. Parents at most only give the body that carries life. A person's life exists eternally and continuously transforms in 10-dimensional spaces. It's just that the form carrying life is different. Animals, plants, and humans are all life forms, but the form, appearance, carrying life is different. Humans cannot create life, so life is not given by parents. Cloning does not create new life. It is just a replication technology. Without the original, nothing can be replicated, cloned. Humans have past lives. Please read the article, The Reincarnated Girl, in the magazine Reader to understand. If you think this article is fabricated, it's okay. Then ask the people around you if they have ever had a feeling of familiarity with a certain place, such as arriving at a place and vaguely feeling like they have been there before, especially in places where there has been little change. Due to the rapid development and change of modern cities, people's feeling of familiarity is becoming increasingly faint. The vast majority of people have no memory of their past lives. But just because there is no memory doesn't mean we should deny past lives. Most people have no memory of the process of their growth in their mother's womb about 10 days before birth. But we should not deny the fact that we spent a few days in our mother's womb just because we don't have memories of this part. We may not believe in the stories and teachings of the Bible, the Quran, or Buddhist scriptures, or in the views of theologians, but we should at least believe in the logical reasoning and facts of science, right? If you don't believe in anything, not even in facts, then you can only be said to be incredibly foolish and unable to understand. Let's get back to the main topic and look at the impact of karmic debts from past lives on our current life. First, imagine any prisoner in a prison during peacetime. Why is he imprisoned? It's not without reason. If you trace his history, you will find that his current predicament is not caused by a sudden impulse or overnight. When you trace the root cause, you must land on personality. In a sense, personality is destiny. So how is personality formed? Is it inherited from parents? If parents can pass on personality to their children, then the personality of all children born to the same parents should be the same. But in fact, this is not the case. The personality difference between siblings is quite large. Even the personality of twins and conjoined people are different. This means that personality is not inherited from parents. Personality comes from a person's past life. For example, if the carrier of your life in your previous life was a mouse, you would like to steal. You steal not entirely for food and clothing. You also know that stealing is easy to be chased and beaten, but you like it in your heart and can't help yourself. People who study criminal psychology and criminology know that some people commit crimes inevitably, which is related to the carrier of their life in their previous life. Those who are cunning, deceitful, and good at deceiving people, their previous life's life carrier is a fox. Those who can bear humiliation and heavy burdens and are willing to work hard, their previous life's life carrier is a cow. People with shy, timid, cautious, and fearful personality, the carrier of life in their previous life is either a small antelope or a small deer. People with dull, inflexible, and persistent personality, the carrier of life in their previous life may be a plant. Like Hitler, Stalin, Mao Zedong, Roosevelt, Churchill, etc. are released from the negative black hole body. Sakyamuni, Muhammad, etc. come from the Elysium world. Some artists, musicians, etc. come from the 10,000-year world. Philosophers, thinkers, writers, etc. with perfect spirituality, reasonable, optimistic, and friendly come from the 1,000-year world. Most ordinary people just transform space-time. Their life carrier in their previous life is still human. I have talked about the cause and effect relationship many times. All fruits have causes, and nothing will appear out of thin air. To put it in profound words, it is called Tao. To put it in simple words, it is called karma. The Buddha said, good begets good, evil begets evil. It's not that there's no retribution, it's just that the time has not yet come. When the time comes, retribution is certain. It basically summarizes the transformation and reincarnation relationship and law in the 36-dimensional spaces. For example, you have worked hard for 10 years and earned a sum of money, but it was cheated, stolen, or robbed by others. You are angry, painful, and puzzled. In fact, there is no need. What you lose is money, but what you get is spirituality. What you lose will be transformed into treasure and stored in a higher level of space. In the next life, where you store more treasure, you will go there. Those who get your money will plant the cause in the lower level of space, and after death, they must go to the space where they should go to pick the fruit. The process of suffering and sinning is the process of storing life treasures, and is the process of getting positive results. To gain is to lose is to gain. Those who obtain wealth through deception, extortion, theft and robbery, corruption and bribery, they are happy, secretly pleased, comfortable, and seem to have no retribution even when they are old. But when they die, their life will fall into the lower world, such as the animal world, and even they may directly fall into the inflamed layer. Their suffering will be unimaginable. Some may fall into the livestock layer, become your family's cattle and horses, for you to drive and slaughter. I clearly tell everyone that this is not a spiritual victory method like AQ or self-deception. This is the great way of the universe. When you practice to a certain level, you will understand. I talked about balance of gain and loss. Gaining is losing, losing is gaining, gaining must pay, paying will definitely gain in the unconventional thinking chapter. This is the law, the inevitable. The world is very fair, but people do not know this principle, and they are just looking for trouble. The conclusion is, your actions yesterday affect your today, your actions today will affect your tomorrow. Your grievances from your previous life affect this life, and your actions in this life will affect your next life. Ancestral inheritance. From our distant ancestors to our parents, each generation passes on its characteristics and a portion of its karmic debts to the next generation. A couple with yellow skin and black hair cannot give birth to a child with blonde hair, blue eyes, and white skin, or a child with black skin, curly hair, and a broad nose. Physiological characteristics also include body odor, which is also inherited. Those who have lived in Africa for a period know that body odors vary widely. Some people naturally exude a fragrant scent, some emit a fishy smell, some have a musky odor, and some have no odor at all. What we commonly refer to as body odor comes in more than 20 varieties that I have detected. People with distinctive body odors are generally kind and friendly, but the problem is that this inherited trait may affect their career choices. They may not be able to work in diplomatic positions or in service industries where they interact frequently with others. Who can they blame for this? Our ancestors not only pass on physiological characteristics to us, but also some karmic debts. We often say, sons should repay their father's debts, which not only refers to obvious debts, but also to hidden ones. For example, the debt of conscience. If you harm others by power or stratagem, create false cases, insult and blaspheme the greatest creator, destroy life, damage the environment, or kill the innocent, these debts will not only affect you but also involve your descendants. Let's not talk about distant examples. Just take China's Cultural Revolution as an example. How many innocent children were labeled as Black 5 categories and had their future affected? What crime did they commit? Why did they suffer such insults and discrimination at such a young age? It's not their fault. It's the improper actions of their ancestors that made their children bear some of the karmic debts. Superficially, it was the fault of the Cultural Revolution, but the deeper reason was the sins of the ancestors. If the world were peaceful and the poor had a way to survive, there would be no Qinshang and Wuguang uprising, and there would be no birth of the Communist Party. I don't want to give too many examples for fear that some people cannot bear it. As long as we treat everything objectively and fairly, we won't waste time hating anyone or seeking revenge, but we should focus on our own future and how to be a better person. In conclusion, the karmic debts of ancestors directly affect our present and future. Genes. Genes, which are linear double helix molecular chains connected by bases in the middle, distinguish different species. Whether it's soybeans, wheat, chives, spinach, apples, walnuts, monkeys, humans, and so on, they all maintain their physical, physiological, and chemical properties due to different molecular structures, which is the difference in genes. One species does not transform into another, just as a horse won't be born from a human uterus or a watermelon won't grow from corn seeds. The fundamental reason lies in the molecular structure's incompatibility. From this alone, we know that species are not the result of evolution, but rather creations of the greatest creator. Biologists often mention inherited genes, but genes are not inherited. They are an essential existence, like air, soil, or rocks. For example, every drop of human blood or every strand of flesh contains genes representing the human species. Even if you take blood from thousands of people of different races, the genes contained within are the same. However, for a pig or a mouse, their genes in a drop of blood are different from humans, but the genes of millions of pigs are the same. But the information contained within genes is different, and this information is hereditary. This information is very rich, containing not only the changes in nature and human affairs over thousands of years, but also the intentions of the Creator. Genes control living organisms and lay the foundation for human nature, akin to the palm of the Tathagata Buddha. It's difficult for us to escape from it. Genes can also undergo mutation, which is caused by special external forces or powerful internal forces. External forces like nuclear radiation and internal forces like the beliefs of enlightened monks. The influence of genes on humans is mandatory, and the root cause of human suffering ultimately lies in genes. Cosmic forces. Cosmic forces refer to the impact on humans of cosmic operations and changes. For example, solar flares, changes in the distance between comets and the Earth, solar and lunar eclipses, the gravitational interaction between the 9 planets and the Earth, the ebb and flow of tides caused by the full moon and new moon, and their effects on human physiology and psychology. Additionally, ultraviolet, infrared, gamma, beta, and heat radiation, geomagnetism, gravity, infrasound, including earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, tsunamis, typhoons, hot and cold air currents, storms, lightning, and thunder, along with the noise from human activities and various electromagnetic waves, all have an impact on humans, affecting not only our physiology but also our psychology and thinking. Humans are powerless against this. Some people are adept at visual thinking, while others excel in abstract thinking. Some have a fiery temper, while others are more reserved. Some are quiet and introverted, while others are outgoing and lively. All of these traits are related to whether certain cosmic forces were active or intense during pregnancy. For example, individuals conceived during storms may have different temperaments compared to those conceived on sunny days. Feng Shui. Primarily, it refers to whether the qi of the earth in the surrounding environment is strong, whether the air is smooth, whether the light is sufficient, whether the field of view is broad, whether the landscape is elegant, whether the structure, the orientation of the house is conducive to lighting and ventilation, whether the water source is rich in minerals, including the undulation of the terrain, the direction of the river flow, and in modern society, it also includes the degree of air and water pollution, etc., all of which have a direct impact on everyone. Other factors in feng shui are easy to understand, but the influence of Earth's qi is often overlooked. What is Earth qi? Earth's qi is the nourishing energy brought by the Earth's veins. What are Earth veins? Earth veins are the channels of water and air movement in the inner layer of the Earth caused by the Earth's rotation. Just like the blood vessels in the human body, including capillaries, that allow blood and oxygen to flow due to the beating of the heart. If the blood vessels are blocked and the blood cannot flow, or if the flow is insufficient, the skin can easily become dry and dark, and the organ's ability to function weakens. Observe nature. Some mountains have lush vegetation, some mountains have no grass, some places have abundant groundwater, springs, and a humid climate. Some places are dry, all of which are caused by earth qi. The grass on the Gobi Desert cannot absorb much earth qi and relies entirely on rain and dew for nourishment. Once there is a drought, they will all wither. But the grass on the stone mountain is not afraid of drought because it can absorb the nourishing qi brought by the continuous groundwater. Generally speaking, places with spring water have strong earth veins and earth qi, and the earth veins of continuous mountains are also continuous, and the earth qi is also strong. As the saying goes, green mountains and clear waters produce talents, poor mountains and bad waters produce cunning people. Although it is somewhat biased, it is still a fact. If a place has spirit, it tends to produce outstanding people. People who often live in dark, damp places with insufficient sunlight not only are prone to rheumatoid arthritis, but their spiritual energy is also insufficient. Parental behavior. In Lanzhou, there's a comedian named Zhang Baohe, known for his comedic monologues. One of his pieces is titled "Darn It." The story is about a schoolboy who constantly uses the phrase "darn it." The teacher, puzzled about where this habit came from, decided to visit the student's home one day. To the teacher's surprise, the parents also frequently used the phrase "darn it." It turned out that the child had picked up this phrase from his father. While the story might be a fabrication by Mr. Zhang Baohe, it highlights a universally observed phenomenon. The behavior of parents directly influences their children's actions and speech. This subtle influence inevitably shapes the children's future behavior and potentially their success or failure, although it's not the determining factor. Family environment. The family environment primarily refers to factors such as the parent's education, upbringing, beliefs, values, economic status, family size and structure, number of siblings, family influence, social status of relatives and friends, and their relationship with the family. For example, if the parents are university professors, their influence on their children is different from that of parents who are workers or farmers. If the parents are devout Christians, their influence on their children is different from that of parents who are atheists. The impact of growing up in a wealthy family versus a poor family on a person's physical and mental health and the quality of learning conditions is different. Growing up in a large family is different from growing up in a small family. Being an only child is different from having many siblings. And even having a brother is different from having a sister. The relationship between relatives and friends, whether harmonious and mutually supportive or poor and mutually destructive, is different. The size of the local family influence has a completely different impact on people. Having uncles who are high-ranking officials or highly educated is very different from having uncles who can't even make ends meet. The influence of the family environment on people is easy to understand, so everyone should reflect on it more. Social environment. The social environment primarily refers to the era, the rise and fall of the nation, whether the city or village where one lives is economically developed, the level of civilization of the people around, the teaching level of the local schools, and the religious beliefs of the people in one's living area, etc. The era refers to the temporal differences and the realm of social changes. For example, the values of people in the Roman Empire era are different from those in the Mao Zedong era. The impact on people in the Cultural Revolution period is very different from that in the Reform and Opening Up period. The era influences the development trend of people. For example, hair dyeing, eyebrow drawing, lipstick applying, wearing mini skirts, etc., which were considered as the decadent lifestyle of the bourgeoisie during the Cultural Revolution, are now seen differently. During the Cultural Revolution, individual business was regarded as speculation and undermining socialism, but today it is considered an effective and necessary supplement to the socialist economy. Having overseas relations was a bad thing during the Cultural Revolution, but today it has become a glorious thing. When the nation is strong, everyone can hold their heads high. Even if they are in a foreign country, they feel superior. When the nation is weak, people will sigh and be depressed. Even if they are abroad, they can't lift their heads. Not to mention the strengths and weakness of military, politics, economy, and culture have an impact on everyone. Even the strength and weakness of sports also affect everyone's life. Whether the place where each person lives is economically developed or not, the overall quality of civilization and education level of the people directly affect each person's physical and mental health and quality of life. The lifestyle, consumption level, and information understood by people in economically developed areas are far better, higher, and more than those in backward areas. Some places have many literati, some have many businessmen, some have many soldiers, and some have many politicians. The main reason is the role of local economy, culture, and education. The religious beliefs of the people around influence the formation of a person's worldview. When I was a child, I used to follow the adults to the temple to burn incense and kowtow during the holidays. The temple enshrines the statues of Erlang God, local god of the land, and Dragon King. The main purpose of worshiping Erlang God is to seek his justice and ability. The purpose of worshiping local god of the land is to pray for his blessing for a good harvest. The purpose of worshiping Dragon King is not only to pray for good weather, but also because we often deal with the Yellow River, so we pray for him to bless people to swim, fetch water, catch fish, cross the river safely, and not to flood. These activities have left a deep imprint in my heart to this day, affecting my thinking. Spouse. A spouse is the most crucial and important person in one's life. Their values, worldview, thoughts, cultural literacy, lifestyle, dietary habits, behavior, emotions, headaches, fevers, and even the corns on their feet or the thorns on their fingers all affect the other person profoundly. It's like walking on thin ice, often leaving one in a dilemma, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. They are indeed the other half of oneself, another me. As the saying goes, behind every successful man, there is a great woman. I would also say that behind every failed man, there is an unreasonable woman. Conversely, behind every happy woman, there is a great man, and behind every unhappy woman, there is an unreasonable man. The influence of a spouse on a person is so great that those who are married know it like the back of their hand. There's no need for me to elaborate further. Children. Once a person has children, their focus of life begins to shift, and raising and educating children becomes their top priority in life. As the children grow, Their joys and sorrows gradually control the hearts and minds of their parents, especially their studies and marriage, which almost become the central content of their parents' lives. Just the tuition alone forces parents to get up early and work hard to make money. Any leisure and transcendence are simply out of reach. The more children, the more troubles, and people are like donkeys in a mill, needing to keep walking around the millstone until the grain is ground. Diet, dietary and living habits. Diet provides the nutrients that sustain life, and the quality of diet directly affects a person's health. People who have good nutrition from a young age have better physiological development, better complexion and mental state, fewer diseases, flexible minds, and clear thinking. If the diet is poor or biased towards certain foods, the body will not develop in a balanced way. For example, if one is overweight, some parts are more developed and some parts are weaker. Weakness can easily lead to the occurrence of diseases, and diseases will affect a person's daily life and work efficiency, which will in turn affect a person's success or failure in life. Dietary habits are closely related to a person's health. From the perspective of health preservation, habits such as eat well in the morning, full at noon, and less in the evening, eat before you are hungry, stop before you are full, and the key to diet is slow, soft, and warm, are beneficial to health and longevity. However, habits such as overeating, not eating on time, liking to eat raw and cold hard food, not paying attention to food hygiene, flies flying around in the kitchen and dining table, cooking too much, and often eating leftovers are prone to cause diseases. Living habits not only affect a person's health, but also affect a person's thinking. A person who often stays up late and never gets up in the morning sees and thinks differently from a person who rests at sunset and gets up at sunrise. Over time, the health status and life paths of the two people are very different. Health is the primary factor to ensure a person's happiness, and dietary and living habits are closely related to health, so diet and habits directly affect a person's success or failure in life. The principle is simple, but the conditions do not allow. The pressure of life is great, and everywhere is really helpless. Sudden changes. Sudden changes refer to invisible, latent, and unnoticeable factors that gradually accumulate until they reach a limit, and then suddenly erupt in a way that is beyond people's control, such as cerebral hemorrhage, sudden heart disease, sudden neurological disorder, sudden facial distortion, sudden strange disease, lightning strike, drowning, sudden car accident, being beaten, shot, suddenly arrested, like the sudden attack on the World Trade Center in the United States, and all kinds of unexpected life changes that affect one's entire life. Once encountered, the path of life will take a huge turn. The vast majority of people believe that incidents like plane crashes and sudden car accidents are bad luck, accidental encounters, but in fact, they are not accidental, but inevitable. All changes in the universe have a cause, and all changes in nature are the result of quantitative changes. Without the accumulation of quantitative changes, there would be no qualitative changes. When quantitative changes reach the limit, it will inevitably lead to qualitative changes. Plane crashes and car accidents seem to happen accidentally from the surface, but in fact, they are bound to happen. Only by standing in the perspective of the negative universe can we see the ins and outs of its changes. If a person's death is imminent, it is unavoidable. If it's not in a car accident, it will be in some other event. People who do not understand the negative universe cannot extend even a minute of their life. Just like the bullet in the gun barrel, once the trigger is pulled, the firing pin is hit, it must be shot out quickly, and it is impossible for the bullet to stay in the gun barrel for a few more seconds. Let's analyze a little bit. For example, if there are 100 passengers on a plane and the majority of people's death is imminent, then this plane is bound to crash due to either mechanical failure or operational failure. It could also crash due to encountering strong airflow or abnormal weather. In short, those who should die will inevitably die, and those who should not die will definitely survive. If a person's death is not yet due, and should not be shocked and disabled after surviving a plane crash, then even if he has bought a ticket, he cannot board the plane. Either suddenly something happens at home, or suddenly feels unwell, or halfway through he remembers that he left his passport or ticket at home, or traffic jam on the road. In short, When he arrives at the airport with a sweaty head, the plane has already taken off. Beliefs. Belief is a worldview and outlook on life that is built on the foundation of school education, environmental influences, and one's understanding of the objective material world. There are various kinds of beliefs, each unique in its own way. Here are a few main types. Firmly believing that everything in the universe is created by the greatest creator. Firmly believing that the universe was naturally formed after billions of years of evolution following the Big Bang. Believing that the universe is a material structure with nothing existing beyond tangible matter. Believing that the material in the universe is only a manifestation, and behind it exists an imperceptible but decisive force, such as laws, gods, Buddhas, demons, etc. Believing that all occurrences and changes are accidental, unpredictable, and there is no cause and effect relationship between events. Believing that everything is inevitable, subject to karmic retribution, and all things are interdependent and mutually restrictive. Believing that religion is a spiritual opium established on the basis of totem worship to numb the people. Believing that religion is an effective way to guide people to yearn for truth, goodness, and beauty, and to restrain human society towards a perfect society. Believing that religion is established by the will of God and can guide people to heaven. Believing that people have past lives and future lives, and this life is just a process, a channel, a bridge between past lives and future lives. Believing that people are just animals that happen to exist, and there are no such thing as past lives and future lives. Believing that life is just a dream, and living is about eating, drinking, and having fun, and timely entertainment. Believing that money can make the mare go, and money is God. Believing that money is the root of all evil. Believing that everything is predestined, and nothing is within people's control. Believing that everything depends on human efforts, that man can conquer nature, and that one carves out their own path in life. Believing that life is just as it is, inexplicable, and that not everything should be either fully disbelieved or fully believed. Believing that the winner is the king, and the loser is the thief. Adhering to the principle of survival of the fittest through natural selection, people should spare no effort to strive, compete, and fight for success. What kind of belief you have, you will have that kind of mental state and psychological activity. What kind of psychological activity, you will have that kind of speech and action. What kind of speech and action, you will have that kind of result and life path. Belief is the navigator of life. Different beliefs achieve different lives. If you believe that everything in the universe is created by the greatest creator, you will definitely become a Christian, Catholic, or a Muslim. If you believe that in addition to humans, there are unknown divine beings in the universe, you will become a Buddhist. If you believe that the human body has infinite energy, through conscious cultivation and development, you can have special functions and become immortal, then you may become a Taoist. If you believe that everything is inevitable, you will listen to the destiny, go with the flow, be leisurely and contented, and see everything open. If you believe that everything depends on people, man can conquer nature, you will rack your brains, fight tenaciously, and you will be overjoyed when you succeed, and you will not be able to get along with yourself when you fail, and you will be troubled for life. If you believe that money is omnipotent, then your life center is money. Money will be the biggest factor driving your daily rush. Your life will rise and fall in the river of money. If you believe that people have a future life, you will definitely pay attention to your own thoughts and words and deeds, and you will do good deeds. If you believe that people live a lifetime, there is no future life, then you will definitely pursue pleasure at all costs and ways. The kind of belief you hold will shape the kind of life you lead. 14.7 Emotions and 6 Desires. The 7 emotions refer to joy, anger, sorrow, pleasure, surprise, fear, and contemplation. The six desires refer to desire for food, sexual desire, emotional desire, desire for possession, desire for knowledge, and desire to excel. The seven emotions and six desires are human instincts, the internal factors that drive people's daily hustle and bustle. Without the seven emotions and six desires, people would either become like walking corpses or vegetative, or they would become like gods or ghosts. The seven emotions and six desires affect a person's taste, quality of life, and path. What kind of person you will become depends entirely on your control of the seven emotions and six desires. Let's analyze them one by one. Seven emotions. Joy includes love, joy, preference, liking, happiness, pleasure, etc. Anger includes anger, annoyance, rage, resentment, indignation, etc. Sorrow includes sadness, grief, sorrow, pity, compassion, melancholy, mercy, resentment, nostalgia, etc. Pleasure refers to joy, a kind of emotion that is full of happiness in body and mind. Surprise refers to astonishment, shock, panic, palpitation, wonder, exclamation, delight, surprise, etc. Fear refers to panic, fear, fright, worry, concern, dread, etc. Contemplation refers to missing, longing, yearning, etc. Six desires. Desire for food. The physiological instinct to want to eat something due to hunger, plus the desire influenced by social environment to eat well, eat more, eat delicately, eat exotic food, and eat beautifully. Sexual desire. The physiological instinct to want to touch and interact with the opposite sex and vent energy due to maturity, plus the desire influenced by social environment to explore, relieve depression and loneliness, and even to desire the opposite sex in order to reach a certain number. Emotional desire. The desire caused by the seven emotions. For example, liking can lead to the desire to be friends with someone and spend time with them. Anger can lead to the desire to retaliate. Sadness can lead to self-harm, suicide. Surprise can lead to the desire for adventure. Fear and fright can lead to the desire for safety, such as installing anti-theft doors, finding a backer, hiring security, getting married and having children, etc. Missing can lead to the desire to go home, to reunite. Desire for possession. This is an instinctive desire to claim ownership, driven by the need to expand one's scope of activities, eliminate interference, and strive for freedom. The existence of colonies, private property, and marital relationships are examples of outcomes resulting from this desire. Desire for knowledge. The desire to explore and understand the unknown field and the unknown world caused by curiosity. Desire to excel. This is the desire to be recognized by society. Everyone wants to be recognized, does not want to be forgotten by society in a corner. Everyone wants to excel, to be different, to stand out, to be respected, praised, and envied by others. So, there is the desire to excel. The desire to excel has both positive and negative aspects. Let's look at some of the ridiculous behaviors caused by the negative side. My grandfather was, when I was visiting abroad, at your age, I had already. Do you know? This watch was given to me by a relative abroad. It's very valuable. I knew this would happen. Let me tell you, so-and-so, referring to a person of prestige, is a close friend of my uncle. Their relationship is quite special. In addition to the above examples of trying to draw attention to oneself, there are other behaviors. Speaking loudly in public places to draw attention to oneself. Being tight-fisted, yet generous at the dining table to show off one's wealth. Lacking knowledge, but deliberately quoting classics. I love Beethoven's Eroica Symphony. What about you? Having no opinion of one's own, but criticizing and attacking others' views, especially picking out thorns from the words or lives of celebrities. and then posing as a scholar to attack. I think his view is flawed. I think he is. Him? Impossible, he wants. Newly decorated the house, or added high-end furniture and appliances, and then tried to invite people to visit. The behavior of liking to wear brand-name clothing or strange clothes. The behavior of liking to dye hair and have strange hairstyles. The behavior of driving a high-end car and deliberately honking the horn. The behavior of wanting to make a big splash and going to extremes. In a situation where there is no way out, saying, "What does he count? I don't bother to care about him." The behavior of pursuing unnecessary decorations. For example, women perm their hair for easy combing. So what is the purpose of wearing a high-end necklace? In addition to women's innate love of beauty, there is also the subconscious desire to stand out, which is to attract others' attention through a beautiful image and let the people around her know her existence. For example, men wear suits to be chic. So what is the purpose of wearing a high-end watch? If it's just for accurate time, it's better to wear a $3 electronic watch that is not afraid of loss, not afraid of breaking, does not need winding, costs less, and can display the month, day, and week. It seems that it's not for time. The essence is to tell people his economic strength and ability, to let everyone recognize his existence, his outstanding. The negative effect of the desire to excel actually brings waste and trouble to people, making people live more tired, more empty, more insincere. In the classification of people, I talked about the differences between people. The core factors leading to differences are: people who live by instinct are ignorant people. People who live by desire are worldly people. People who live by emotion are mortals. People who live by reason are sages. People who live by spirituality are celestials. Therefore, the impact of the 7 emotions and 6 desires on people should not be ignored, should not be unguarded, should not be complacent. 15. The phenomena of the material world. The vibrant and diverse world presents us with its surface phenomena, not its essence. All phenomena are illusory and change with the shift of time and space. If we only observe the surface phenomena and do not grasp their essence, we will always be lost, perceiving the world as impermanent and feeling directionless. Let's analyze the example of Newton discovering gravity. The falling apple is a common surface phenomenon. So, what is its essence? Why doesn't it go up? Why doesn't it fall diagonally, but vertically, excluding wind factors? It turns out that all things have gravity. Because the gravity of the Earth is greater than the gravity of any other object around the apple when it leaves the tree, the apple falls vertically. This is inevitable, not accidental. The essence of the surface phenomenon of the apple falling is gravity, which is invisible and latent. Materialists before Newton would not acknowledge the existence of gravity, even though gravity is eternally present. We see birds migrating, geese flying south. The essence of this phenomenon is that the weather is getting cooler. We see rats running around, fish constantly jumping out of the water, dogs barking, horses neighing. The essence of this phenomenon is an impending earthquake. We see people with full-faced smiles, flattering their superiors. The essence is to gain benefits. We see plants sprouting, flowering, fruiting, and then withering. The essence is the change of seasons. We see people studying hard. One of the essences is to improve their social status. We see businessmen busy negotiating, ordering, transporting, selling, making phone calls, sending faxes, inviting people to dinner, understanding the market, gathering intelligence information. The essence of these surface phenomena is to make money. We see people bustling on the street, busy with their activities. The essence of this activity is the desire to obtain something, or simply to survive. We see someone with a bad complexion, thin body. The essence is malnutrition or illness. We see wars happening, car accidents happening, people getting sick, some people rising, some people having bad luck. The essence behind these phenomena is karma, the operation of Tao. We see people constantly being born, constantly dying, in a repeating cycle of birth and death. The essence of this surface phenomenon is the transformation of the spiritual life. All phenomena are not the essence. The essence is invisible and latent, and it determines all phenomena. Phenomena are illusory and will soon disappear. Not to mention that flowers, trees, insects, birds, wind, and clouds will soon disappear. Even people are just a phenomenon. They will also disappear, just the length of time is slightly different. The above phenomena are to tell you that the vast majority of people are confused by the surface phenomena of things and cannot see the essence behind the phenomena. The busier people are, the more they are bound by surface phenomena. The phenomena of the material world affect people's thinking, psychological activities, and behavior. 16. Personality. In the section on karmic debts from past lives, we have already touched upon the concept of personality. So, what exactly is personality? Personality is the characteristic of the life carrier that a person inherits from their past life. It is not a trait inherited from one's parents. Personality will determine the overall direction of a person's development. It is commonly said that a person's wealth, career success, and successful children are the blessings they have cultivated over several lifetimes, and this is indeed the case. For instance, if a person's life carrier in their previous life was a wolf, then their personality would be ferocious. However, if this wolf was captured and killed by a hunter before it reached adulthood or starved to death due to a lack of food, it would be reincarnated into the livestock world, or even into the human world. Upon arriving in the human world, due to factors such as the educational environment, his ferocious nature may not be revealed, and he may not commit any ferocious acts. In such a case, in the next life, he will continue to return to the human world. Through the trials and cultivation of life in the human world, he gradually sheds his ferocious nature until he completely loses the characteristics of a wolf. In the next life, he may have the opportunity to enter the 1,000-year world. If he practices well in the 1,000-year world, he will be reincarnated into the 10,000-year world in another life. And from the 10,000-year world, he will advance to the Elysium world. Conversely, he will decline. For example, if a person behaves ferociously during his human stage, then in his next life he will be reincarnated into the livestock world or animal world, all the way down to the plant realm, netherworld, frozen layer, inflamed layer. For information on how life is transformed in the 36-dimensional spaces, what the conditions and basis for transformation are, and why there are so many different personalities in human society, please refer to the chapter of life. Personality is the inherent nature and characteristics of a person. It is a kind of potential energy that is very difficult for a person to manage and control. The type of personality one has shapes the kind of life they lead unless a person strictly self-improves and self-cultivates. 17. Demonic pranks. Demonic pranks are the tricks played by life in other high-dimensional spaces in the human world. Some are just for their happiness, and some are punishments for people, just like the pranks people play on other animals and insects. I dare not talk more about this. I only provide the following examples for everyone to think about. On October 16, 1829, a British fast ship called Mammoth, carrying 21 sailors, sailed out of Sydney Harbor. 5 days later, a big storm overturned the ship, and all the crew fell into the water. Fortunately, there was a reef nearby, and they climbed up to wait. 3 days later, a wheel ship called Civet Choix rescued them. 3 days later, Civet Choix was unlucky and capsized. 8 hours after the incident, a ship called Gabbana Lady rescued them again, but disaster followed. Gabbana Lady only sailed for 3 hours, and a fire broke out on the ship. Everyone escaped by lifeboat. While drifting, they were rescued by a fast boat, Hummet. 18 hours later, Hummet encountered a storm and sank at sea. After struggling in the water for more than 10 hours, they were miraculously rescued by the male ship, Cupid. Not long after, Cupid hit a reef, and the crew fell into the water again. In despair, they were rescued by the Hediopolis passenger ship. In less than 2 weeks, they experienced 5 disasters and 5 rescues, and no one died. This is a typical demonic prank for fun. In 1899, someone was struck by lightning in his own yard in Italy. 30 years later, this person's son was struck by lightning and died in the same place in the same way. On October 8, 1949, this person's grandson was also struck by lightning in the yard. 3 generations of people were struck by lightning in the same place. This is not a coincidence or an accident, but a demonic prank. In 1918, a Canadian major named Saint Mayfort was struck by lightning. In 1924, he was struck by lightning again and became hemiplegic. In 1930, lightning struck him again, and he became completely paralyzed. 2 years later, he passed away. In June 1934, lightning struck his grave and shattered the tomb. The 18th-century British poet Falkner William, who became famous for writing the long poem Reef, was shipwrecked and drowned at sea when he arrived off the Cape of Good Hope in 1769. Is it a coincidence? Everyone has heard of the manifestation of Bodhisattva. There are many examples of the manifestation of Bodhisattva in ancient and modern times at home and abroad. I only cite one example here. In a certain region, after spring sowing, there was no rain for 2 consecutive months, and most of the seedlings died. The drought made people unable to sow again, and the season had passed. Even if they sowed again, they would not mature. Farmers who rely on the sky for food are anxious. Finally, with the tacit approval of the local government, people from dozens of villages spontaneously built a Dragon King temple on the bank of the Yellow River. They burned incense and kowtowed, praying for the Dragon King to manifest and bring rain. By the evening of the 3rd day, heavy rain fell in the region. Is it a coincidence? There is a woman in our village who has never been pregnant. When her husband died at the age of 45, she remarried. 2 months later, her menstruation stopped. She firmly believed that she was pregnant, and then her belly gradually enlarged. She was overjoyed and praised her new husband's outstanding ability whenever she met someone. 6 months later, she went to the hospital for a checkup. The doctor said that this was a false pregnancy, and there was no fetus in her uterus. The result was a false alarm. This phenomenon is also a demonic prank. Most people may have some understanding of the concept of disturbing the earth on Tai Sui's head. Tai Sui typically refers to a type of fungal body unearthed from the soil. Whoever digs it up will face the dire consequences of family ruin and death. This is not an exaggeration. It's a fact. Therefore, no one dares to disturb the earth on Tai Sui's head. The method to avoid this disaster is to choose an auspicious day and time before breaking ground, and to avoid the forbidden position of Tai Sui. Now, let's consider the curse of the pharaoh. Most individuals who disturb the pharaoh's peace contract strange diseases and die. The director of the Cairo Museum, Mr. Gamal Meller, did not believe in this. He once said, "I have dealt with ancient Egyptian tombs and mummies many times in my life. Am I not still alive?" However, less than 4 weeks after making this statement, he suddenly passed away. British Egyptologist Walter Emley, despite his lifetime of expertise, desired to excavate the statue of Osiris, the death god revered by ancient Egyptians. Just as he finally discovered and displayed the god's statue, he suffered a stroke and was paralyzed in front of the statue. All these individuals can be said to have disturbed the earth on Tai Sui's head. In reality, these phenomena are all examples of demonic pranks. Demonic pranks are phenomena that cannot be explained by conventional scientific principles and are considered to be within the realm of superscience. Many situations can lead to disaster when people become overly emotional or boastful. For example, a person who is in good health and thinks to themselves, "I am very healthy," generally won't encounter any issues. However, if the same person starts to brag out loud, saying, "I am very healthy, I will never fall ill," it won't be long before their health starts to deteriorate. This is an example of the influence that demonic pranks can have on individuals. 18. Changes in the heavenly world. The Earth universe has 36 dimensions, which I have briefly described in the space chapter. The heavenly realm is one of the 36 dimensions. It is the world of gods, and the changes in the heavenly realm have an impact on people. Let's take one example. First, let's begin with an analysis of Centuries written by Nostradamus. Centuries has accurately predicted numerous events that have occurred, such as the author's own cause of death, the timing and manner of death of King Henry II of France, and more. The descriptions of World War II scenarios are even more detailed, even predicting Hitler's name, and also phenomena like women flying in the sky in a ship. What did Dr. Nostradamus rely on to predict the future? Was it spiritual revelation, logical reasoning, extensive knowledge, exceptional skills, imagination, dreams? None of these. His thinking transcended time and space, and he was able to accurately perceive these scenarios. As I say this, what evidence do I have? Please consider my own practice. Influenced by Mr. Zhang Xiaoping, Zhang Hongbao, Yan Xian, and others, I have also earnestly explored Qigong and the mysteries of the human body. Later, through the principles of Bagua orientation, Qigong Duanjia, and Feng Shui, I attempted to create a simple and easy-to-practice method. Following this method, I practiced intermittently. I had discussed this with my office colleagues in 1982, especially during my studies at the University of International Business and Economics in Beijing. I practiced every night on the school playground for about 3 months, during which I felt the existence of the Qi field and its impact on me. After moving to Zimbabwe, I continued to practice. In 1996, while practicing in the backyard of 10 Forest Road, Mount Pleasant, I suddenly saw my pulse beating with my eyes closed. Then, there was such a phenomenon. One night, while lying in bed reading a book until late at night, I suddenly felt sleepy. So, I turned off the light, covered my head, and went asleep. In less than a minute, my consciousness was still relatively clear at the time, and my eyes were closed. I suddenly saw a large garden. The scene was very realistic and clear, somewhat like the scenery described by Tao Yuanming in The Land of Peach Blossoms. But I didn't see anyone. This scene was fascinating. It could be described as a fairyland. Since then, I have seen some more scenes, and along with some scenes and insights from dreams, I have summarized the concept of 36-dimensional spaces. The real scenes I saw with my eyes closed, whether they were the result of practice or the result of unconventional thinking or the revelation of some power, cannot be definitively determined. Nowadays, there is a type of 3-dimensional and 4-dimensional image available in the market. Many people might have already experimented with it and seen the images hidden within these 3-dimensional and 4-dimensional images. There is a real scene behind the surface phenomenon, which is no longer a mystery. Turning our attention back to the prophecies of Nostradamus, he truly saw the scenarios that would occur in a few years, decades, and even hundreds of years later. Time and space were no longer obstacles for him. The question we want to raise here is, were the events predicted in centuries, including the occurrence, development process, and outcome of World War II, in the female astronaut piloting a spaceship into space, etc., accidental? As we all know, accidental events are unpredictable. If a person can accurately predict what will happen 300 years later, without a doubt, these events are inevitable. So why should there be a world war? According to the calculations of Jehovah's Witnesses based on the Bible, a war broke out in the heavenly world in 1914. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. And the dragon fought and his angels and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea! For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Revelation 12 verses 7-12. This means that the great changes in the human world are influenced by the changes in the heavenly world. What can people do? So why did Jews, Christians, mainly in Europe, and people in Buddhist countries, mainly in Asia, suffer in World War II? This is because Jews and Christians are enemies of the devil Satan, and people in Buddhist countries are those who have betrayed Satan. When Satan comes to the human world, the first people he retaliates against are his enemies and those who betray him. This is obvious. In short, the changes in the heavenly world directly affect humanity, influencing the trajectory of everyone's life. This is beyond self-control. By now, everyone must have recognized the inevitability of the universe and life. The universe is orderly, life has a trajectory, there is absolutely no accident in the universe and life. Everything is inevitable. Some people will ask, since everything is inevitable, why do we still study, work, and hustle? Why not just sit and wait? My answer is, if you can sit down calmly, without complaints, without regrets, without desires, without fear, then you are already amazing. Your level of cultivation is already very high. You have transcended the mundane. The question is, can you? When you come to the human world, you are facing the constraints and pushes of trillions of factors. You cannot resist them. As long as you are a person, you will be involuntary. You must study, work hard, hustle. What you should do, you still have to do. What you should think, you still have to think. What you should eat, you must eat. Who you should deal with, you still have to deal with. So, does this mean that we can only resign ourselves to fate and have no way out? No, absolutely not. What has been discussed above is only for the general public. When we understand the mystery of the universe and know the true meaning of life, we can exert subjective initiative and use time and space to readjust our life's coordinate points and coordinate system. Once we start thinking and doing this, we are no longer a member of the general public. The trajectory of our life begins to change. We have gone beyond the three worlds and no longer subject to the five elements. We can transcend life through practice and cultivation, jump out of the realm of desire, the realm of form, formless realm, get rid of the bondage of the five elements, and reach the other shore. The conclusion is, the universe is orderly, life is inevitable, and only through practice and cultivation can people move from the kingdom of necessity to the kingdom of freedom. Practice and cultivation must have goals. So what are our goals? The lowest goal, health, wealth, freedom. Midterm goal, being free from the secular even while remaining in the secular world. Being away from worldly affairs in your mind even when you must interact with them. Doing your best to complete your duty to be free from cares and worries. Remaining ordinary while transcending beyond the ordinary. The highest goal, transcend time and space, rush to eternity. Overall goal, achieve perfect human nature. So, what is the standard for perfect human nature? The heart of the cultivator. Deiform Buddha. The heart of the cultivator aligns with the hearts of the common people. They constantly hold the well-being of all people in their hearts. The happiness of the masses is their happiness, and the sorrow of the masses is their sorrow. As long as there is even one kind, honest, trustworthy, and hard-working person enduring hardship, the cultivator will not enjoy personal joy. They see the world's parents as their own parents, the world's children as their own children, the world's women as their own sisters, and the world's men as their own brothers. If the neighbors cry, the cultivator cannot laugh. If their family members cry, the cultivator cannot laugh. They bear the world's sorrows on their shoulders and work to relieve the world's suffering. The heart of the cultivator aligns with the heart of all things. The universe is trustworthy, and all things are sentient. Trees, flowers, plants, insects, and animals exist for me, and they all contribute to my nourishment. Mountains, rivers, and vast lands support my existence, serving as the carrier of my life and the vessel for crossing the river. I take what I need without letting greed drive me to harm any living being. When all things cry, my heart cannot find peace. When the mountains and rivers are shattered, I cannot be whole. Let the grass and trees grow. Let the butterflies flutter. Let the streams flow clear. Let the beasts and birds run and fly freely. My heart merges with all things, and all things live within my heart. The heart of the cultivator aligns with the heart of the universe. The vast sky understands my heart. The expansive universe travels with me. The universe is the cradle of my consciousness and the home of my thinking. As long as the universe exists, so do I. If the universe ceases, so do I. The twinkling stars send me greetings and blessings. The sun and moon move to care for, love, protect, and bless me. In the 36-dimensional spaces and 36 worlds, traversing the vast oceans and touring the myriad realms, my heart melts into the universe, and the universe is filled with my heart. The heart of the cultivator aligns with the heart of gods and Buddhas. We revere Jesus as a god and Shakyamuni as a Buddha, seeing Jesus as our father and Buddha as our teacher. We are the children of Jesus and disciples of Buddha. What Jesus desires is our desire, and Buddha's teachings are our actions. Our consciousness merges with gods and Buddha, and our emotions blend with gods and Buddha. Clad in Jesus armor and wielding Shakyamuni's staff, we become embodiments of Jesus and Buddha. We follow where Jesus points and go where Buddha leads. The heart of the cultivator aligns with a heart of compassion. Our hearts are delicate and tender, like the tender shoots in early spring. This is true for all living beings. Our hearts should be as caring as if we were nurturing a newborn baby, and as merciful as witnessing the crystal morning dew on branches disappearing in an instant. Care is shown in the fleeting moment of flintlight, and mercy is dedicated even in a small space like a snail's horn. We sense genuine emotions in an instant and appreciate the fleeting beauty of a blooming flower. We dispel brutality and cruelty, drive away unkindness, and embrace all beings with wholehearted care, protecting them with great care as if they were in the palm of our hand. The heart of the cultivator aligns with the state of Wuji, the infinite. Transcending the bonds of life and death, we fulfill our duties without regrets, striving to liberate our hearts from further attachments. Unaffected by honor or disgrace, unconstrained by life or death, we let our hearts die in the present moment, valuing this transcendence above all else. We neither rejoice in life nor grieve for death. We allow our souls to drift away from the physical body and the current world at any time, merging into the essence of the Tao and the origin of the spirit. We transform in the boundless horizon of Wuji and exist eternally in the infinite space. We find our true selves in the realm of selflessness, maintaining serenity amidst turbulence. We dream within this dreamlike world. Upon awakening, we break free from the cycle of rebirth, transcend the three realms, and return to our true home. The heart of the cultivator aligns with a heart of harmony. The beauty of symmetry and proportion resides in harmony, and the interplay of yin and yang brings about the beauty of transformation. The contrast between black and white reveals colors, and the clash between good and evil gives birth to sainthood. By discarding the highest and lowest scores, we find joy in the beauty of moderation. Unperturbed by the drizzling rain, the rolling waves of the vast sea, the changing clouds, the blooming and wilting of flowers, the comings and goings of comets, and the migration of wild geese, one should be constantly in a state of being in order to contemplate the subtlety of the universe, and one should be constantly in a state of non-being in order to contemplate the limit of the universe. The Tao moves in its own way. The principles of nature are ever present, and we play in the game of life, unrestrained. The heart of the cultivator aligns with a heart of emptiness. All conditioned dharmas are like dreams, illusions, bubbles, shadows, like dewdrops and a lightning flash. Contemplate them thus. Having a heart is the source of suffering, and the heart gives birth to desire, which attracts demons and disturbances. We let the mind remain unaffected by external conditions, not allowing the heart to be swayed by circumstances. With each thought, we transcend the mundane, and with each intention, we aim for a lofty and distant view. A million years is but a second, and a second is a million years. We hold tightly onto the hand of the greatest creator, entrusting our life to the arrangement of the Tao. The greatest creator is our spirit, and the nature of the Tao is our heart. We take things as they are, associate with others by following natural come-and-go relations, act in accordance with one's intrinsic nature, and take advantage of opportunities as they arise. The law of gravitation of life. Xiefeng. I say to you, you will not come out of it until you have made payment to the very last farthing. The motions and developmental trends of all objects are affected by gravitational forces. It is impossible for anything to escape without conquering the gravity that binds and constrains it. This law is suitable to the material world as well as to the non-material world. The law of the universal gravitation of life can be expressed thusly. Gravity exists between or among any destined lives in the universe. Their magnitude of gravity is directly proportional to the amount that they owe to each other and inversely proportional to how much favor they have done to each other. That is to say, the greater the debt is, the stronger the gravitational interactions will be, but the greater the favors, the stronger the reaction forces will be. The main reason that the souls of many self-refining people cannot reach even the lowest level of heaven after leaving their physical bodies is the effect of gravitation of the earth towards their lives. This is the procedure of Tao, which cannot be overcome only by consciousness. Many near-death people have already left their physical bodies, but they come back to life eventually, which result from the effect of the attraction to life. Many people arrive at beautiful places in their dreams only to awaken near the end as a result of this attraction. No matter how far they travel, immigrants always have been longings for their homes from time to time. A Punjabi phrase says, East, West, home is best, and part of an American poem and song goes, be it ever so humble, there is no place like home. The great emperor, Li Shimin of the Tang dynasty, earnestly enjoined monk Xuanzang, who was leaving for India, love and cherish even a pinch of mud from your homeland more than a ton of gold from other places. Why are our homes so attractive? Because we owe debts to them. It was the mountains and rivers in our native land that cultivated us, and it is our families that favor us. This is the effect of the gravitation of life which very few can resist. Transmigrations and reincarnations of life will gravitate toward the world from which you were over debt in your previous life. If you owe a debt to someone, you will return to serve them in your next life as a person, or even as an ox, horse, dog, or sheep to do the same. If you owe a debt to an animal, you will return as one, or even as food for it. Buddhists attach importance to predestination, but what is it? It is the combination of debts and favors. In China, there are sayings such as, though born 1,000 miles apart, souls which are one shall meet, and a fated match across 1,000 miles is drawn by a thread. Here, the meaning of the word thread is the gravity of predestination, which is also a combination of debt and favor and is inescapable by anyone. The Chinese saying says, husbands and wives are foes. In the mortal world, marriage is just like living in a protracted lawsuit against each other. You will by no means leave this world until you pay off all your debts. This is why Jesus Christ taught us that whoever smites us on our right cheek, turn to him the left also. Buddha Sakyamuni said in the Diamond Sutra that, furthermore, Subhuti, if a virtuous man or woman who receives, holds in mind, reads and recites this sutra and become despised by others, that because one is bound to suffer from evil destinies in retribution for their past sins, their karmic sins can be eradicated by enduring others' contempt of present life, so they will attain peerless perfect enlightenment. Actually, you are blessed if someone reviles or persecutes you, and this is one of the most effective ways to pay your debts. Therefore, the starting point for your advanced self-refinement should be that you are brave enough to accept revilement and persecution without any resentment or desire for revenge in your mind. You have to be willing to accept all the suffering. You should be absolutely obedient to your parents, patient with your brothers and sisters, and yield to your spouse. You should also devote your hearts and souls to the education of your children without expecting anything in return. Jesus told us that a man's foes are those of his own household. We owe to our families, and this debt will attract us back to the mortal world. Thus, our families are the biggest factors preventing us from entering heaven. Goodness and loving kindness follow us all the days of our lives, so we have to go back to the mortal world to repay them in their afterlife. Therefore, any advantage or benefit that we derive from the mortal world is just glue which will restrict us from entering heaven. In Matthew 10 verses 35 to 40, Jesus Christ taught us, For I have come to set sons at variance against their fathers, daughters against their mothers, and daughters-in-law against their mothers-in-law, and their foes shall be of their own households. Those who love their fathers and mothers more than me are not worthy of me. Those who love their sons and daughters more than me are not worthy of me. And those who take not their cross and follow after me are not worthy of me. Those who find their lives shall lose them, and those who lose their lives for my sake shall find them. Verily I say unto you, there is no man that hath left house, or parents, or brethren, or wife, or children, for the kingdom of God's sake, who shall not receive manifold more in this present time, and in the world to come life everlasting. Jesus' words tell the exact truth. We should abandon all that we possess in the mortal world. But how? The only way is to experience the worst hardship and the most miserable suffering, and to bear the most painful torment. In order to repay those kindnesses, everything that we do should be as that of cows. They eat grass but produce milk. We should burn ourselves as candles. As long as we live, we will exhaust ourselves fully to pay back the debts that we owe from previous lives. A reading from the Baha'i Faith begins as follows. Behold the candle, how it gives its light. It weeps its life away, drop by drop to give its flame. You must die to the world, and so be born again, and enter in to the kingdom of heaven. Jesus told us that where one's wealth is, so too is their heart. So reserve wealth for yourself in heaven. Buddha also preached that we should do our best to give alms formlessly and accumulate merits constantly. In this way, the fruit of its reward will be inconceivable. We will understand the law of universal gravitation of life as soon as we enter into the non-material world. Some have dreamed of flying in very beautiful places, which show very little magnitude of gravitational attraction from the mortal world, while others have never flown in their dreams. Some have never dreamed in color, which indicates a big magnitude of gravitational force from the mortal world. Although Isaac Newton's 3 laws of motion describe the material world, but they also apply to the non-material world and offer inspiration to us. We can understand this principle from the case of the 3 cosmic velocities. A satellite must meet an initial velocity requirement of 7.9 kilometers per second in order to orbit around the Earth. Escape velocity is 11.2 kilometers per second for it to escape from the Earth's gravity and rotate around the Sun. A third and higher velocity will allow the spacecraft to escape from the Sun's gravity and travel out into the galaxies. The 1,000-year world, 10,000-year world, and Elysium world that I have described are just like those 3 cosmic velocity levels. The first cosmic velocity is required to reach the 1,000-year world, the second is required for the 10,000 world, and the third is required for reaching the Elysium world. It is impossible to reach the above 3 worlds unless the requirements for the minimum speeds are achieved. Of course, this is a metaphor, but the concept applies. Pay your debts and free yourselves from the shackle of the gravity of lower life space. Pay that final farthing that you owed to the lower space lives. The best way to do this is to give alms formlessly and accumulate merits. Do you know why the best way to self-improve and self-cultivate is to help construct Life Genuine? It is because we are initiating the Life Genuine era for humankind, and this era will not only benefit humankind, animals, and plants, but also rivers, lakes, the sea, and the sky. We are accumulating the greatest merits which are sufficient to offset all that you have owed to all forms of life throughout all time, including what we owe to our families. Why should we revere life and nature? This is the basic principle. Understanding these principles, we will feel sweet even when enduring hardship and tiredness. The enjoyment should be given priority to others, and the hardship and tiredness should be left for ourselves. One should set up a superior goal, work hard on an ordinary job, and lead a humble life. In this way, we will burn ourselves as candles to the greatest extent. Forget complaining if you ever wanted to, give up revenge if you ever desired to, and release any hate that you still have. On the contrary, bless those whom you felt antagonism toward. The law of the universal gravitation of life tells us that the magnitude of gravity is directly proportional to what we owe but inversely proportional to what we have favored. The more that one owes, the greater their magnitude of gravitational interactions will be, and the more difficult it will be for them to reach heaven. However, the more that one has favored, the less that the gravitational force will pull on them, and the easier it will be for them to leave for heaven. When we face our imminent deaths, We will rest in peace if we are free from all concerns and debts. Otherwise, we will turn over in our graves with restless souls. Do not accept favors from others readily. Once you accept them, they will become your debts. Those favors relieve others, but shackle you. Do not kill animals intentionally, or those animals will be freed, but you will be shackled. Be as much a vegan, or at least a vegetarian as you can, because animals are lives too. What is owed to animals must be repaid eventually. What you gain must correspond with what you have paid, and any excess is unnecessary because it means debt for you. I am unable to describe all the details. Get to know the principles first and then put them into practice. The only purpose of becoming a Chanyuan celestial is to accomplish the spiritual state of immortality. On one's own, a spiritual state of immortality is peerless, correct, and perfect enlightenment, also the most perfect end result. To accomplish the spiritual state of immortality on one's own means that after being tested by desire, anger, ignorance, jealousy, and pride, and surviving calamity and hardship, one can finally acquire enlightenment and perceive nature, realize the secrets of life and life, then achieve Buddhahood fruit or the super celestial being fruit, reach the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world, be free from the samsara and free from all confusion, and enjoy the boundless joy and pleasure of life. To accomplish a spiritual state of immortality on one's own is the only purpose of becoming a Chanyuan celestial. There is no other purpose except this one. The way to become a Chanyuan celestial and accomplish the spiritual state of immortality is this. You need to read Chanyuan Corpus and Siefeng Corpus and understand the profound mystery of life, time, and space. You need to work hard to pay off and eliminate all your debts from many generations in the mortal world and sever your associated ties, and enter the new oasis for life. You need to take part in the construction of the new oasis for life, clean up the dust and dirt from your soul garden and beautify it by doing formless almsgiving, free yourself from the universal gravitation of life in the mortal world, accumulate merits and virtues, and finally leave for the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, or the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world. In order to accomplish the spiritual state of immortality, you must observe strictly the roadmap of the guide. Otherwise, it will be hard to accomplish the spiritual state of immortality. Therefore, you will not pursue any of the following 8 purposes anymore. No longer pursue other roads, but only take the way of the greatest creator. No longer pursue money, power, status, fame, or have lust, but abandon your ego and achieve the realm of freedom from ego and freedom from form. Do not educate others or deliver any beings from torment anymore, but concentrate on your own achievements. Do not participate in any other activities or organizations anymore, but act in accordance with your nature and unite with Tao. Never show yourself off, but live and work earnestly and faithfully by following the teachings of Jesus Christ and Buddha Sakyamuni. Never attempt to achieve vigorous careers, have ambition, be competitive with a secular government, or turn against any person, organization, or group, but accept things as they are, cherish the present, thank everyone, and remain humble. No longer argue, debate, quarrel, fight, scramble, or struggle for anything or with anyone, but be flexible and act tactfully, knowing to smile to the subtle metaphysics and learn all the secrets. Do not consider yourself as someone great or extraordinary anymore, but as the humblest, most ordinary, most common life in the world. Therefore, after entering the new oasis for life, you need to no longer pour out your woes or complaints, but build up your own soul garden. No longer display yourself anywhere, but endeavor to pursue doing your duty at a first-class level of quality. No longer bother with others or regard other people's business, but concentrate on your own perfection. No longer find fault with others or cavil at anything, but concentrate your attention toward realizing yourself. No longer carp at, educate, or guide others, but implement the theory which you have learned into your own words and behavior. Concentrate on whether every little thing you do is accord with the teachings of gods, Buddha, celestial beings, and sages, and not be concerned with others. No longer pursue material interests and comforts, but pursue the abundance of the spirit and soul. No longer discuss or comment on others, nor stir up enmity and make mischief, but pursue coexistence in harmony with every brother and sister. Be a simple and honest person, not a shrewd and capable person. Be a sincere and frank person, not a scheming and defensive person. Be a natural person who can spontaneously play a game or have fun like a child, not a sanctimonious little hypocrite whose flattering lips speak with deception. The self-cultivation and self-refining in life genuine are different than any other kind in history. The traditional forms of self-cultivation and self-refining do not work in life genuine. This is full coordinate and holographic self-cultivation and self-refining. To be a Chanyuan celestial, you must rid yourself of inherent consciousness, thinking, and habits, but realize yourself with the whole new thinking and the whole new way, then accomplish the spiritual state of immortality. The Path of the Practitioner. Dayform Buddha. September 3rd, 2006. Translation edited by Chinyu. The path of the practitioner leads to the sacred homeland. Practitioners are saints. Their hearts are pure, crystal clear, perfect, luminous, untainted by a speck of dust, undistracted, meticulous, and filled with an awe-inspiring spirit. They embody the essence of the sun and moon, accumulating the grand righteousness of a millennium, absorbing the spiritual energy of the heavens and earth, and reading the knowledge of countless centuries. They view life as a brief journey, to be appreciated wholeheartedly but without attachment. They take the changes of the world as a matter of course, not halting their sacred journey for mundane affairs. They are always striving towards the highest realms of life and life, moving towards light, auspiciousness, eternity, and freedom. The path of the practitioner leads to the heavenly paradise, where time and space are limitless. The 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium world are splendidly beautiful. The practitioner's thinking transcends all constraints and barriers, with their consciousness often soaring and exploring in the boundless realms of celestial and Buddha lands. The illusions of the present cannot obstruct their infinite vision, mundane human emotions cannot shake their firm belief, and the clamor of the world cannot block the divine call from the non-material world. The allure of fame and fortune cannot taint their longing for the heavenly paradise. Following the path laid out by sages, they face the twilight and steadily advance towards the horizon of blissful realms. The path of the practitioner leads to a tranquil and elegant heavenly paradise, with winding paths that lead to secluded and often hidden realms. Human footprints are rare, and the path is abundant with the sounds of birds and the scent of flowers, but few people have heard of it. Only gods and Buddhas make their presence known. Celestial beings accompany, sages follow, and kindred spirits hold hands. Along the way, cranes fly, and divine music lingers. The landscape is peaceful and harmonious, exuding serene beauty. As the mundane concerns of the dusty world do not enter the realm of colorful clouds, the clamor of the secular world cannot tarnish the path of cultivation. Mountains upon mountains, water after water, there are often surprises waiting around the corner. Wind chases wind, cloud upon cloud. It is always a fine and sunny day. The practitioner constantly experiences wonderful feelings, inexplicably excited, as if riding clouds and driving fog, enjoying boundless freedom and comfort. The path of the practitioner transcends the ordinary and leads directly to celestial realms. Practitioners do not hold consciousness of nations, ethnicities, religions, political parties, or families. They do not distinguish between good and bad, virtuous and evil people. They only aspire to beauty, avoid falling into cliches, see only the fairyland, and remain indifferent to worldly affairs. The blooming and withering of flowers do not concern them, and the coming and going of wind and rain hardly stirs their hearts. Even though death is omnipresent, they see through the vanity of the world and smile radiantly. They are detached from the material world, remain calm in the face of collapsing mountains, find joy in the journey, and naturally follow the path of Tao. They face fierce beasts without fear, maintain a tranquil heart in adverse circumstances, confront death without batting an eye, and they achieve the state where there is no self, no others, and no dharma. The path of the practitioner is lively and dynamic, not bound by trivialities. There are no spells, no precepts, and even less so, constitutions and laws. Their inner self possesses its own moral conscience, a court of balance within. They walk the path of truth, follow the nature of nature, without fixed forms, disregarding worldly doctrines. My heart moves with me. I move with the nature moves with the spirit, and the spirit moves with the Tao. They traverse in an instant, soaring beyond the ninth heaven, following in the footsteps of the eight celestials crossing the sea, as free and unrestrained as a celestial steed soaring across the sky, transcending the constraints of time and space to express love, never forsaking a moment of blissful enjoyment. Just as the wind passes through the bamboo without leaving a sound, the geese pass over the pond without leaving a shadow, they carry their knapsack without delaying the journey. The path of the practitioner is not lonely or solitary. Loneliness is the patent of those with narrow hearts. Solitude is the label of the arrogant and conceited. Opening the windows of the soul, thousands of living beings share joy and journey with me. Gazing at the beauty of the distant mountains, ancient Buddhas and sages join me in appreciating the scenery. Looking left and right, there is no shortage of kindred spirits resonating with my soul. Looking forward and backward, angels and celestials echo me from afar. I wander in the sea of Dharma where hundreds of boats are sailing, and roam leisurely in the mountains and waters where the sounds of nature ring. Birds sing and dance in unison. 1,000 flowers release their fragrance to send me off. Kindred spirits of the soul accompany me, and lovers accompany me, talking and laughing, free and easy. The path of the practitioner is deep in affection and heavy in righteousness, full of friendship along the way. Heartlessness is the behavior of demons. Heartlessness is the path to hell for those who are obsessed and do not repent. Heartlessness is a portrayal of the psychological state of jealousy and hatred of demons and monsters. Heartlessness is the natural enemy of kindness, compassion, and mercy. Practitioners are full of love for the world, have affection for heaven and earth, have affection for gods, Buddhas, celestials, and saints, have affection for mountains, rivers, earth, plants, and insects, have affection for parents, children, siblings, have affection for lovers, confidants, friends, have affection for fellow celestial friends who resonate with the soul. The heartless are not pitted by heaven. The affectionate are blessed and cared for by gods, Buddhas, and celestials. The path of the practitioner is full of obstacles and dangers. If you go with the flow, you are ordinary. If you go against the flow, you become celestial. Going downstream leads to the bitter ocean. Going upstream reaches the clear source. Climbing the mountain is step-by-step difficult. Going down the mountain is a roll to the bottom. The fragrance of plum blossoms comes from the bitter cold. Celestial beings are born from bitter cultivation. The ignorant care often does not cease in the ears. The selfish care often makes the heart upset. The worldly temptation is like a cliff. The short-lived love of the world often makes people difficult to walk. Sometimes there is a strong wind blowing. Sometimes there is a heavy rain pouring. Sometimes there are tigers and wolves blocking the road. Sometimes there are interests entangled. Only to light the divine lamp in the heart, the fog dissipates, and the path to the kingdom of heaven is clear. The practitioner's confusion for thousands of years. Xiefeng. In 2008, I hired an African girl to help with my housework in Zimbabwe. My reason for choosing her was that she went to church every week, and I believe that regular churchgoers must be good in both character and in learning. Then my neighbors, an elderly British couple, later told me that she had stolen several things from them when I had her clean their rooms and yard when they went on a trip to South Africa and left their home in my charge. This is being noble when entering the church but absurd when leaving it. Here is a similar phenomenon. Everyone in mainland China who is more than 50 years of age has been educated in Maoist philosophy for decades. But what happened to these people after China's reform and its opening up, especially those who are officials? Needless to say, everyone knows that few of them really serve the people. Instead, they are bribing each other and neglecting their duties to benefit themselves. When Mao was alive, they were the people's servants. But now, they have become their masters. 15 years ago, there was an upsurge of learning about Western spirituality and Osho. The situation at that time can be described as the birth of masters like bamboo shoots after a spring rain. Talented people appeared frequently on the web. Everything they said were all spiritual contents, and all of a sudden there was the prospect of creating a new world, But then, 10 years later, the ebbs and flows of the tides disappeared. Many years ago, Master Jing Kong and Chen Dahui's movement to restore traditional culture could be said to have been in the ascendant. For a time, traditional culture seemed to be making everyone become like Yao and Shun, like saints and sages. Sometimes, when a lecture hall is full, it can make everyone feel that traditional cultural values really have the ability to become the model for the world. However, when they come out of that lecture hall and face reality, they are slapped back to their original shapes, which are still being noble when entering the church but absurd when leaving it. Since Chairman Mao left us, there have been waves of spiritual cultivation in China which can be described as each leading the pack for 3